Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, where transformation is not just a word but first-hand experience. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. Welcome to this wonderful space where we blend this latest of scientific research, the wisdom of mindful living, and the art of mindfulness. This is an invitation to have your own direct first-hand experience and emerge on the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Welcome to Monday/Sunday afternoon session of Conscious Living Collective. Very good to be here. And right here at the start, I want to welcome everyone just by the hello, Julie from San Diego, Lothar from Stuttgart. Herzlich willkommen. Patrick from Nova Scotia. Hello, Joan. Good to see you here. Mary, Joanna, Love from UK. Dana, Craig from Delaware. Susan from Chicago. Hello, Parvane. Very good to see you too. Welcome my regulars, all the members of my Patreon program, and first-timers. If you're here for the first time, feel free to raise your hand, because I would like to know. Hello, Ian from Melbourne and Vin from Philippines. We really have a very diverse and members today from around the world, from different cultures, and I really like that, which means friendly pause, first timer. Very good to see you here. And this is very much testimony to the topic of today's session of Conscious Living Collective, where we explore different topics to support your well-being and conscious living. And it is, I kind of try to be a bit of provocative and just establish the hidden costs of seeking happiness. That's the topic of today's session. I had to read it because it meant to be provocative, because happiness, it's something, as a word, it's something that I am using very careful, talking about the topics of well-being and growth and conscious living, because mostly when I was growing up in a small village in Poland during the time of communism, that word was obviously something that we thought all about. Back then, pretty much in the times of socialism, everybody was poor and everybody had very little. And through that, we had a sense of solidarity. As a matter of fact, some of you may remember in the 80s and 90s, a huge movement started in Poland that became famous all over the world that was called Solidarity. And it was the movement that stood against the role of socialism and the Russian occupation back then. And it brought people together. And I remember still being a child, playing with my friends, obviously no phones. We didn't have a phone line. We didn't have a TV. Or we had a black and white TV with only 3 channels. And that solidarity was very much in the forefront of everything, as we very much consider ourselves equal. There was no striving for material things, because we knew for a fact that nobody had them. We had to be very creative in order to create our games. Our parents, well, my parents and all parents, had to be very creative to bring food to the table. Some of them used an opportunity to go abroad to find work there. Some of them, like my father, was fixing TV sets. He was very handy with electronics. But it seems that the happiness that we saw was mostly, again, that's, I want to portray that for you, mostly on the screens of TV from very infrequent American movies, where everything was glorious. In Poland, we spoke a lot about so-called American dream that revolved mostly around having prosperity, having all these things that we saw on the screens of TV, but we didn't have them. And I tell you what, I want to put that into perspective because now Poland was one of the economical powerhouses in European Union. And we have all these things that we dreamed of, that we saw on the screens of TV. We have shelves on the shops are full of various kind of goods. You can have absolutely everything. And yet what came out of it, it's seeking cost, the hidden cost of seeking the happiness through what we saw, and that's a metaphor, obviously, on the screens of TV. When we obtain it, what you find right now, and my sister who lives there now reports it to me, it's division and dissatisfaction. Because that long search for fulfillment through all these things that we considered as, happiness makers, it was very much illusory. And even though many people start recognizing what happened over the past, 30 years, we still in the only mode we know of pursuing material goods to fulfill our sense of happiness. However, as I grew up and now I have a better perspective on what is happening in my life and what are the core values of mine and what are my directions in life that I follow in order, again, not to be happy, but to be sufficient and fulfilled. And other word I use is content. Happiness, the way I understand it right now, cost me a lot of suffering, as a matter of fact. And as long as I pursued these things, illusory things that I saw on the screen on TV or on TV as I was a kid, it turns out to be the wrong direction to go. But it seems I wasn't the only one who was fooled to the large extent by the reality of things. It seems like the entire nation, or after extensive traveling around the world, entire nations were fooled by trying to pursue happiness at something that never can be really attained. And why is that? And I think that's the scientist in me coming to talk to you right now. Happiness from the neurological point of view, it's the state where your brain or your neuroreceptors are flooded with dopamine. And again, that's a simplistic, I just want to put a caveat here. It's a very simplistic view. And dopamine has been used in many different ways, and it's mostly positive. But the way we see it now from the scientific point of view, every time your brain receives a gratification in the form of, purchased goods, of achieving something, it produces dopamine that reinforces the state of elevation, of satisfaction. However, as you can imagine, the state of the secretion of dopamine, the neurotransmitter that is responsible for us feeling good about achieving something or eating something or having or getting something, only lasts for a very short while. And after that period, when dopamine levels decrease to the normal level, we experience period of what I would call it an ordinary being. There's no longer exhilaration. There's no longer excitation. It's a normal state. However, what we found and what many people find in their own lives, that quote unquote ordinary state, we learn to be very dissatisfactory. Even though being an ordinary, it's absolutely okay. We created, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we created this perception that ordinary is a negative word. So only when you are happy, only when you are continuously gratified with money, with goods, with relationships, with friendships, only then life is worth living. So again, we watching a movie in our minds. And for the purpose of this conversation, I want to use a American chick flick, which would be, a story with definitely a happy ending, filled with glorious moments, some challenges that ultimately pay out, and we move into a state of continuous, lasting happiness. And after watching this movie, and again, it's a metaphor because we do it, our brain does it for us, after striving for this continuous, lasting sense of happiness and fulfillment, that translates as dopamine is always present in our circuits. We are constantly producing it more and more and more of it. We realize that this is absolutely unsustainable. So even though neuroscience teaches us that ordinary state is actually the state where we spend most of the time, from the perspective of our brain, we feel dissatisfied when that happens, when we feel normal, when we end the nominal state, and we are only satisfied, quote unquote happy, where again we create stimuli that floods our circuits with dopamine and stimulates our brain for that feeling of exhilaration, of that feeling of excitation. And this is something that I think I want to talk to you today about because, like I said, one thing I found that even though I came out of poverty, and there were times in my life that I considered myself having quite a lot. I traveled the world extensively. I had many possessions. The longer I live, the more I ponder upon those topics, as you can imagine, as a scientist and as a, homegrown philosopher, I think about those things a lot and try to consider what works and what doesn't work. I've realized actually that the trap that we are being sold through advertisement, in movies, even through the engagement of governments. They're trying to convince us what is good for us. It doesn't work for everyone. As a matter of fact, it works only for a very few. And what we see as a result of that pursuit of happiness is more and more dissatisfaction rather than satisfaction and fulfillment. And simply because, like I said, this perpetual state of happiness is just illusion. Dopamine in our circuits know now, even if you would find yourself stimulating yourself and getting more and more things every single day, after a while, the receptors, the dopamine receptors, get burnt out. And even this continuous stimulation will no longer bring you more happiness. But in your brain and in your mind, in your conditioned mind, you will find that you will receive the internal and the external pressure to continuously produce, quote unquote, acquire more and more and more to feed. And for those of you who know me, I like using term the instant gratification monkey. Is that animal that is never satisfied, that is always wanting more and more and more. Doesn't matter if we acquired thousands of goods, if we acquired wealth that can be spent for the rest of eternity by your entire family. That animal continuously will ask us to get more and more and more. If you think about billionaires are people who, well, suffice to say, have enough money that would suffice them and their family and the family of the family for the rest of their lives. Do they stop at that point acquiring more of the goods? No, they do not. As a matter of fact, it is one of those things that the appetite for more never stops. The instant gratification monkey will never be satisfied because that's not what its nature is. And I think going away from getting away from that perspective that we've been conditioned to, there is the perspective of opposite to happiness. I'm not trying to put the word unhappiness or dissatisfaction, but I want to convince you, or want to put it out there for you. Opposite of word of happiness, to put word sufficiency. The life as we know it right now in the present moment is not happy life, but is sufficient. And the word sufficient in my mind comes with other words like steady, peaceful, calm, undisturbed. And as I carry on and learn more and more about mostly myself, I've realized that the above words, are much more easy to sustain, and they are much more nourishing in my life. I no longer fall for the trap seeking perpetual happiness as a state, some on the other side. In the religious terms, that would be the term of heaven, right? That's how we imagine heaven. Heaven is the state of continuous, forever lasting happiness. But I want to remind you that term of heaven has been invented by people. This is a story that we're telling ourselves. And I don't know anyone who, even people who go out of body on a regular basis, people who really explore the larger consciousness system, they will never come back and say there's that place where you go to where everything is peachy for the rest of eternity. Not because there's nothing wrong with being satisfied and content for the rest of eternity. This is simply not something that anyone could put out with. And again, many people tried. People who have means to continuously satisfy themselves moment from moment to moment, from moment to moment, from moment to moment. We know the celebrities that achieve the state of fame, state of complete financial freedom. They have everything they will ever need. And I don't want to give you too many examples, but many of those celebrities committed suicide. Many of those celebrities struggle with their mental health. It's not because they don't have means to fulfill every desire they have. It's exactly opposite, because they realize that something that they have been chasing their whole life, again, the fame, the being in a spotlight, being acknowledged, being celebrated, was not something that they were ultimately looking for. They realized they made a mistake, and sometimes realizing that mistake, that's the hidden cause of chasing happiness or seeking happiness. That realization for many, that after so much hard work, so much time and effort spent seeking happiness, finally finding it, turns out to be the wrong direction. Turns out to be the worst move that we can have, because the happiness as we know it, as we see on the movies, of the screens of TVs, as we see in the TV shows, it is just a story that we're telling ourselves. And I think one of the things that we're doing in Conscious Living Collective is actually to have first-hand experience and put all these words that I just try to convey to you into actions I said at the beginning of our session to have your first hand experience. Because I do not want to just tell you that pursuit of happiness is perhaps not the best tactic in order to live fulfilled and satisfactory life. I want you to realize that on your own for yourself, having this direct experience. So we will, just in a moment, jump into guided meditation, where I will guide you into a state where you can have and compare the notes with direct experience of the present moment. And we'll see what is going to happen. I'm just seeing. Thank you for all your comments, by the way. As you can see, whilst talking, I wasn't able to go through all of them, but thank you so much for commenting and being part of this conversation. I just want to make sure that the sound and the video is still okay. Over past couple of sessions, I found that the connection is very poor, or it fluctuates from bad, poor to just okay. So I just want to make sure that you still can hear me. You can see me in sufficient way, pun intended. Cool. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Parvane. Cool. Thank you, guys, for your feedback. Hello, Deb. Thank you for your feedback. So let us jump into meditation, in which I will guide you into a state, I would hope, where you can put these words of being sufficient, being content, being, again, not happy, and neither happy or unhappy, being somewhere in the middle, and trying to stay there and see for yourself if this state can be that provides you a consolation, provides you peace and ease of being, and what will be the first and next experience for you. As always, we are prepared for you some background music for your personal exploration. And today we'll be going with Pablo Aureliano, Space of Love, a musical piece that I use for my personal exploration very often. I used it many times, and I continue to use it. And I hope you will enjoy it. It starts slow and then builds up. But again, it's Space of Love. It's subtle. It's never straight and obvious. It needs to be explored in silence and stillness. Let me switch to the meditation screen. Okay. Like I said, it starts slow, but then it will get a bit louder. Begin this meditation by acknowledging the state that you are in. Whatever that is, simply allow yourself to be as you are. Your body and mind, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the self right now. Use your intellect to check in with yourself. And use use this as a starting point for your exploration. Ask yourself, is the current state that you are in sufficient? Are your basic needs met? Are you able to exist in this very moment without putting too much strain on the system? Feel free to take a deeper breath that will connect you with your body. When we breathe in deeply, you may find that you detect some tension, some discomfort, something that in the midst of your thoughts you were not aware of. And this will fall under the category of basic needs. You may even find that knowing, feeling this discomfort in your body allow you to make a decision to slightly adjust it. You may find that you no longer need to hold on to this burden, this discomfort. Something that you could forget easily whilst pursuing this illusory happiness that is always ahead of you, but never in the present moment. What is in the present moment is the state of sufficiency. I am enough. I am not great. I am not amazing. I am enough right here and right now. And to extend this state, you may even consider that I am always enough. I have always been enough. And that extends both into the past and into the future, but starts right here and now. That is your moment of power, from which you extend into the future. Imagine two funnels that are connected. You being right here, right now, being the connecting point in the middle. The funnel in the past extends to include all the experience that you had. And the funnel in the future extends into all the experience that you will yet to have. But But in both cases, the beginning for both these funnels starts in the connecting point that is here and now. And the fact that you exist in this very moment is the proof that you are sufficient and you are enough. How would it feel to embrace this current state as is, without judging the past, without anticipating the future, but anchoring yourself in the state of sufficiency that connects with stillness, calmness, ease. I'll allow you now to take a minute for your own personal exploration as I stand by your side to hold this space and to support you on your journey. And now it is time to come back to your physical senses that are a part of the physical landscape. The experience that you just had may lay outside of the physical understanding. The sufficiency extends beyond the physical dimensions, and that's where we find stillness and peace. Express your gratitude for all that you have experienced. give yourself a pat on the shoulder for this time you spend knowing yourself a little bit better. And now, let us conclude this period of exploration with one deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you're ready in your own time, open your eyes and welcome back. Thank you for meditating with me. That was really lovely. And I want to ask you right now, if you were to describe in 1 or 2 words how you feel right now, what those words would be. And I will start with myself, and I would say steady. That's the word that comes to mind. Word at ease also would describe it. I can feel a bit of tension in my stomach. So tension is also part of this current state that I'm in. Parvane comfort, Joanna relaxed, Mari also relaxed, Manuela pleased, Zena empowered and content, Nola sufficient, Julie peaceful and content, Dana soft and held. That's very interesting and wonderful. Ian enough. Stacy complete. There's so much wisdom in our group. Anita light and no longer anxious. Again, we're returning back to our normal self. To I don't know the nominal state. I don't know why I use this word, but it fits the description right now. It's nominal. It's not good. It's not bad. It's nominal. Another question: would you be okay to be in the nominal state for most of the time, or would you rather be happy all the time? And what flows from higher highs are the lower lows. So something that describes, I think, the whole concept that I try to convey today is when you have a sine wave, right? It goes ups and down, up and down. It's a sine wave, and the sine wave can be described by the amplitude. So it goes high, very high up, and then very low. It's a big amplitude. But for me, my objective is to decrease that amplitude as much as possible. The sine wave doesn't look like that. Very happy, very sad, very happy, very sad. Looks like that. Okay. Right? Not too happy, not really reaching the clouds, but also not too sad. The amplitude is closer to being nominal, satisfactory, sufficient at all times. Our love says, reflective, content, and still. I'm enough. You are enough. We are enough. Yes. Marie, contentment is fine with me. Thank you, Parvane, for finding this session helpful. It's very important to me that it brings some positive. The sessions have positive impact on your well-being. That's in the description and intention of the sessions. Stacy, steady flow. Jason, yes, I have been moving more and more toward that, living in the middle and not getting too high or too low. Work in progress. It is always, I think, recognition that staying in the middle, it's important. That's where the That's the important part of the work, to recognizing, not aiming towards the highs, but aiming towards the middle and allowing yourself to experience both highs and lows from the perspective of the middle. Maybe that describes this the best. Mantra for Jason: let go and live in the flow. Really like that. Let go of control. Stop living the expectations that being put on us. Deb, reflective. Today has been a rough day, so quiet is helpful. Thank you, Deb, for sharing. I hope you you will go back to the middle very, very soon. Well, thank you so much for today's session. It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your attention. There are quite a few meditations under my profile that you can use for your personal exploration that consider my favorite mantra is: you are loved, you are worthy, you are enough. That very much is in the vein of what we are talking about today. So feel free to use them. There are most of them are free to use. But if you want to stay in touch with me, go to my profile and either send me a message or follow me there. There are many ways of connecting. So you'll find a way if you need to. I offer one-on-one sessions for those of you who are in need of deeper personal exploration, who need a hand in walking this difficult path of growth, exploration, beyond just the session of Conscious Living Collective. There's also a Patreon program that wonderful members are here, and you know who you are. I don't want to call you out, but we all know each other so well right now after so many years together. Very good to see you here. So many opportunities to expand on this current state and grow more into sufficiency, into this wonderful, precious life. Thank you, Joanna, for your kind donation. Your donations obviously support my work and help me to continue having these sessions with you. Thank you so much. For now, I want to wish you a pleasant evening or a wonderful day wherever you are. And I look forward to catching up with you on the Wednesday or Tuesday, depends on the time. Again, go to my profile, see for yourself, because your app will update it according to your time zone. So I'll look forward to seeing you then and there. I will leave you with Pablo Aureliano and his Space of Love. And I hope you will enjoy it. See you next time.